Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of The Good
Game.
Guys, with just two of us right now.
Yep.
Yeah, what is it? River apparently is off at Six Flags, and Deg is probably still having a nap right now, because Jesus Christ.
We'll check on him later.
Yeah, I don't blame him, to be honest, because he was telling me he had to, like, get up about 5 a.m. to take his mom over to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
So, got that going for him. Dude, if you need, just fucking sleep it off.
Yeah, wasn't he streaming earlier?
Yeah, he was streaming some Shadowrun Hong Kong.
Oh, so yeah. So he's been doing stuff, so he'll join us later.
Hopefully.
Oh, I'd hope he wouldn't sleep until that late. Unless he's just gonna sleep it off until the morning.
Oh shit, you never know, dude. Maybe he's actually living out those Rockstar fantasies that we set up just last week. Oh man. So, anyway, since I guess it's just the two of us, shit, do you want to go ahead and get into what you've been up to this week?
Yeah, not very much. I've been kind of tired at the end of the week, moving a lot of furniture around. But in terms of gaming, I've been kind of doing the same old, trying to get into a few matches here and there on Dark Nexus Arena's closed alpha. I actually got on the Tuesday when the developers do their weekly dev stream.
Mm-hmm.
They actually opened up the servers to play a couple of games with the people watching, and actually got into one of those games. Yeah, I don't think they gave me a shout out or anything, but it was fun getting to play with some of the devs and be a credit to team. Other than that, I'm doing a lot of Splatoon, trying to help friends in our squad troubleshoot that, because it's been a weird case. There's currently a problem with Splatoon in that other Nintendo games online don't seem to have this problem, but there's a recurring connection issue problem with certain devices on Splatoon. And as other than that, I've been chugging through, grinding away at Disgaea again, and I'm gonna have to look into that, because I also found out, it's old news by now, but I found out this week that the Disgaea collection is coming to North America this fall.
Really?
That's the bundle that has Disgaea 3, Disgaea 4, and Disgaea D2 for PS3. And yeah, that one, the last one, is a direct sequel to the first game. So it has all the other characters in it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's pretty much what I've been gaming on lately. We'll have to get to some more duo queue sometime.
What, in Dark Nexus? Or just League of Legends?
In League of Legends, because ranked, but
I guess we could go back in the ranked.
Yeah, it's hard finding Dark Nexus games because there's so few people to queue up with in an alpha.
God, especially since we had to, how long was it we were waiting on Sunday?
Okay. Well, I remember the one time we were queuing, you actually were gone when 2 queues popped, so...
Hey, to quote Dr. Malcolm, when you gotta go, you gotta go. Oh, man.
It's just really temperamental. Sometimes you'll get in like that, other times it just takes forever. I don't know. What have you been up to?
Well, pretty much been playing some TF2 good majority lately. In fact, I even surprisingly returned back to Man vs. Machine and realized why that was a headache. Because it's been fucking ages, and I kind of forgot, hey, I don't play this mode that often. And then I remember why I don't. Oh, man. But anyway, part of the reason why I also kind of been doing some more TF2, aside from Gunmetal, is they introduced a new game mode, which I guess you can call it a football mode.
I'd call it rugby with guns.
Oh, so football.
No, rugby with guns, as in, no, compared to regular rugby, there's just as much of a chance of people dying.
Oh, man, but yeah, God, first impressions of that aren't really all that great at the moment. Like, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, there's just been so many problems. Like, one, I'm not too big on a fan of the map itself. Like, I hope to God that we can see like a later installment of different maps with that game type mode. But also, dude, day one, day one playing, man. I ran it. I had an interesting moment where the enemy team's demo man actually managed to charge into our spawn room and just continued to spawn kill every single person in there.
Wow.
Leave it to a fucking brony, right?
I'd say leave it to a demo man.
Well, no, I'm accusing the brony because that dude had a brony icon on him.
Still kind of got an axe to grind with that mode, just because it doesn't seem like Valve put much work into it. They had it conceptualized and designed by Bad Robot Studios, J.J. Abrams' studio.
That was the thing that kind of just threw me off too. It was like I didn't even realize they were actually, interested in doing game work. Like,
who knows? Like, maybe there's something more to that. But yeah, they came up with the concept, and then it was co-developed by Valve and another studio. Which just makes me wonder, how much active involvement did Valve actually put into this? I mean, they're already pretty laissez-faire with their current games.
I'm pretty sure they had to have at least put in the work for the animation models for carrying the ball around.
I think it's just a running joke that Valve is run by two people. One person to count the money and the other person to approve the community created content they sell.
Yeah, I guess the other thing I kind of want to like touch up on with that particular game mode is right around like the goalpost area, right? There actually is like no in-game defense for it, aside from setting up as like an engineer or anything, which I'm sort of on a weird position with it because at first, okay, I get it, yeah, your team should be the one to set up the defenses, and it's totally a perfect opportunity for an engineer to set up or anything like that. But assume you have my luck for a moment, and you're on a team full of retards. So, yeah, you can see where this is going. So, absolutely no form of defense whatsoever for my team. And what I kind of think I'd like to see, maybe at least test it around, see if it could work out, is to throw in, like, some, automatic defense sentries, like, right over there to make it a little more difficult for people to just outright run up and, score a point.
So I don't know, is shooting someone that's carrying the ball as boring and anticlimactic as it sounds? Because they mentioned a lot about how you can melee the ball carrier to steal the ball, but in the description they didn't really mention what happens when you shoot them.
You just shoot them. Like, there's nothing to it.
The ball just drops?
Yeah, the ball drops. It's like a fumble, and then just whoever's close by picks it up. Yeah, not much to it from that. I've never actually taken the time to melee a ball carrier. Like, I know they have like a different layout system. Like, so when you're carrying the ball, that's it. Like, you can't. I think you even have to actually physically throw the ball in order to whip out your weapon. Like, you can't just switch over to your weapon and just kind of drop it there.
So CTF rules for most games.
Kind of seems that way, yeah.
I don't know if it's fleshed out and becomes really strategically deep. I'd love to see what kind of competitive teams would come out of it, like what the format would be. Like,
I'm sure it could be pretty awesome. But
like, I imagine there'd be a dedicated scout per team for
of course,
ball
dude.
handling. You'd get like. I don't know if it would be set up more like a Quidditch team or a roller derby team.
You want to know how I think the meta would eventually form out to be? What? You're definitely going to have your scouts. You're going to have your engineers on defense. Maybe a heavy. But aside from that, like, maybe I could see like the soldier playing a part to like run on point.
Yeah.
Look at me acting like a sports announcer right now, or analyst.
Aside from the standard soldiers and demo man on team, yeah, I imagine there's going to be a lot of good use for scouts for carrying the ball, and maybe some good snipers for shooting the ball carrier. Because, splash damage and explosions are great and all, but when you can get a one-shot kill on the ball carrier, it's all the better. They're gonna have to see how open the map's like. If it was a standard field, then snipers all the way. Uh,
Nah, like in that map, no, I don't see room for snipers. Like it just seems way too cluttered.
hmm.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of the Good. Oh, what the fuck? Guys,
What?
I'm hearing ourselves somewhere.
Uh oh. Do you have something open?
I see what it was. It was Hitbox.
Oh, good job.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought I had that muted.
It's like, this is why I pop out chat.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, my bad there, folks. So anyway, yeah. I think you could also maybe have like pyros to run interception to like push the ball back away from them as well with the air blast.
Yeah.
But that's really all I really see. Like, I don't think you could even use a demo night because again, you're holding the ball. It's probably not going to let you do the charge. I mean, maybe you could now, but I foresee that getting nerfed.
Yep. Either way, I don't see a lot of use for heavies or medics unless unless there's a map that really allows for defense.
Yeah, it's just purely defense, dude. Oh man. So aside from that, like I heard something on what is it? On the radio the other day that kind of caught my interest. So you're aware of like fantasy football and shit, right?
Vaguely. I don't know.
Well, you're at least aware of it. Like
Yeah.
I don't even understand how you fucking play it yourself. Cause
Okay, so you can't answer my question about why people go to Vegas to draft their games.
No, I can't. Oh man, but the reason why I'm kind of bringing this up is because I found out something made by the same people that originally created the idea of fantasy football. Is there's this new game called Fantasy Movie League, which is interesting. See how it works out. Is in this you're basically running your own fantasy movie theater, and you basically have like 8 screens where you have to choose what movies you're gonna play. Like what's a couple movies that are coming out right now?
Coming out soon. Well, I know Hitman just came out. This
Okay, yeah, there's
weekend.
Hitman, Sinner 2,
Or Sinister 2.
or Sinister.
I don't know, the blockbuster season is kind of drying up now. There's not much coming soon that I can think of.
I guess for the sake of argument right now, we could even just use movies that just came out as well, because we're not actually playing. But how it would work out is like, okay, so you have like these 8 screens, and like I said, you have to fill that in with movies, and depending on how well that movie does in the box office is how well you do. But the thing is like, high-rated movies are definitely going to be more expensive. Like you have a certain budget that you have for spending reasons. Like say Avengers 2, that would have been like a very point-heavy thing to put into. But we all know that would guarantee you good money revenue because it's fucking Avengers. Whereas opposed to like you could like look up all the independent scene movies and then just kind of see how it goes from there.
Well, it's too bad you didn't play this a week or two ago. Then you could have drafted Dragon Ball Resurrection F and get a bunch of points for that.
You see, I wonder if that would have been a point-heavy thing because that's still like a well-known established.
Well, it
title.
was cheap considering only a select few theaters actually got to play it.
Yeah, that's fair.
It returned well for where it was showing.
Mm-hmm. So, like that's basically my understanding that I got from it on the radio, and to be honest, it really seems like something fun to do. Like I could totally see myself kind of setting up some kind of a betting arena with a couple friends here with that. I don't know. Would you be down to do something? Fantasy Movie League?
What's in it to win?
Well, on their official site, you at the end of each season, which is the different quarters of the year, you can win a $100 Fandango gift card, I think.
Huh. It's interesting.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, I don't think you have to be limited to just using the website itself. I mean, you could just like have a inner betting circle or something like that.
Yeah, honestly, the only fantasy anything league I've had any experience with is, I think it was last year during the finals, League of Legends ran a fantasy draft for their game, and you basically picked which teams were going to win at each stage, and I think I ended up in the like the third highest tier in that there wasn't anything to win other than bragging rights amongst your friends.
Yeah, pretty much.
But no, none of my friends actually competed in that.
Oh man. So yeah, I thought that was something I'd go ahead and share with you guys out there because that sounds cool. Like, especially, God, even probably something even more plausible to actually do besides that fantasy League of Legends team builder thing.
Yeah.
How did that? Is that still going on, by the way?
Yeah, I think they actually did open that up for the full season this year. Again, didn't really participate because I honestly don't follow the pros that closely. I should, but I've kind of grown a little distant from League of Legends this year. So I've become I've become like the fair weather kind of football fan. The ones who don't watch any games during the season but start caring when the playoffs go.
I think that's a good majority of people, to be honest with you.
'Cause that's how I feel about League of Legends, honestly. I mean, I don't watch the LCS that often, but I'll tune in for the World Finals.
Which, hey, by the way, guys, if you're on Twitch right now, there's a good chance you're going to be experiencing an awful lot of buffering because, hey, guess what happens to be going on today?
A lot of tournaments.
Oh, man. So, hey, if you guys manage to get through Twitch just fine without buffering, cool, awesome. But if you're having troubles and you're not currently buffering and you can hear my voice, you should totally head over to Hitbox right now. That shit's going to be a little bit more easier on you. And you can do that just by scrolling down and hitting that little Hitbox icon button if you're listening live. Sorry, YouTube people. You should have came here live. Anyway. So, let's go ahead and start getting into some of the news that we have. And yeah, it's once again another one of those kind of really slow weeks. Because I don't know. It always seems to be like this around the end of the summer, don't you think?
Yeah, fall's kind of a slow season for news. Like, a lot of games come out in the fall, but it seems like not so much development going on. People are finishing up their things for the holiday season, so
Right.
other than that, there's nothing to talk about.
Well, luckily we do at least have some things to talk about. And the first thing I want to get into, actually, we talked about this in past episodes. I don't know if you were officially part of us when we did.
No, I think I was here when wasn't there a preliminary sentencing follow-up you had? I remember discussing the topic with you before.
Oh, we've definitely talked about it off air, I think. So what we're kind of talking about right now is, remember the whole incident with the Slenderman stabbings with those girls that invited their friend over and started stabbing her like 15 times, I think?
Yep, either way. Let's get on to what's developed at that.
So, yeah, I've been trying to keep a close eye on that situation, and so it looks like the trial date is actually going to be on October 15th, and surprise, surprise on the defense attorney's side. Well, they're trying to plead her in as not guilty. Now, here's where the article kind of gets a little fuzzy and my understanding of law, because along with that not guilty, there's talks of trying to go in with an insanity plea. Now, if I understand correctly, you could actually file as not guilty under reason of insanity.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting caught up on a certain quote in here.
Oh, go ahead.
I might have been thinking of another case, but I thought they were still going to send it to juvenile court. But apparently the attorneys of the victim are fighting to keep this in adult court, having them tried as adults.
I'm sorry, who was that again?
The attorneys for the plaintiff, the girl that was stabbed.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, totally. Sorry
Yeah.
for some misheard you. I thought the defense attorney was trying to keep them as adults.
No, there
Like,
was.
that doesn't sound right.
I think it was a different case where they wanted to keep it. They had to keep the identities secret because they were being tried as minors, but yep, they were being tried as adults on this case. So, well, we'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully they have good attorneys and can get out before get out without a life sentence.
I don't know. I kind of want to see some harsh punishment here because that's some fucked up shit, dude.
Oh yeah, they were 12 at the time. So.
Can you really honestly just kind of hand wave that though as
Uh,
like you're immature and something like that? Like, dude, that is honestly some malicious intent shit right there.
Oh well, according to the news, they're definitely not gonna get the life sentence, but they can serve up to 60 years.
Okay, I can deal with that.
Yep, I'm not like I don't know enough about laws. I can't say what's really fair. It's like I just wonder what the legal protocol is for giving someone a sentence that extends past their date of adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if you're tried as an adult, I'm pretty sure they hold you in juvenile penitentiary.
Right.
Yeah, I'm assuming at some point, if you have a continued sentence, you have to serve the rest of it in a state penitentiary when you become an adult.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
that's kind of what we got right there on that whole situation. It's fucked up, and yeah, let's see some justice served.
So enough on that.
Moving right along. So we got some Kickstarter stories going on here. Which one in particular do you want to start off with?
Might as well go with the first one.
Alrighty. So, Inafune's Red Ash has found itself back on the crowdfunding source after just barely making it. Now, to be fair, this isn't the game that's back on Kickstarter. This is the animated movie that they wanted to release along with it that's back on Kickstarter. And it's my understanding that they're mostly just doing this because they want to extend like the movie length.
Yeah, their original Kickstarter, the base was it was $150,000 goal was to fund for a 18-minute original video animation, and they're putting up another Kickstarter to extend the length of this. What was they? Yeah, they want another 127,000 to deliver a 30-minute special. And yeah, if they get up about $2.5 million, they can extend it into a 90-minute feature-length movie. I'm honestly thinking they're a little optimistic with this one. I'm not sure what concept or studio for Celsius is thinking, because you got Red Ash the game failed its Kickstarter and is only getting funded due to outside funding from a publisher.
Hasn't it also come out that Microsoft is even actually weighing its hand in the situation?
I hadn't heard anything on that.
I've heard loose talk about that, so
yeah, I don't
take it with a grain of salt, folks.
And yeah, this animation Kickstarter barely squeezed by within. What was it? Oh yeah, the final day it barely made the goal.
Right.
So, I think Inafune's tapped the Kickstarter well.
I think that's safe to
Coming
say at
up
this
dry.
point, man.
I don't have a link to this new Kickstarter on hand, but I can't imagine it's going too well. I mean, one day into the campaign, it only had $28.
Right.
Like they've kind of tapped as much as they're gonna get out of it. I mean, 4 million was incredible for Mighty Number 9, and I'm sure a lot of people are disillusioned because that's been delayed to 2016 now. So we're not gonna see that anytime soon, and we're going to have to wait even longer to see Red Ash come to fruition. I think it's time for Inafune to look elsewhere to expand his indie library.
I'm just saying, maybe he also needs to actually just start releasing some of his titles.
Well, yes, obviously.
Because, I mean, let's be honest, that's going to be a great way to start, generating money right there for future projects. But then again, I am also kind of thinking on the mindset of like a AAA developer right there.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but I kind of want to call him the Japanese, but the Japanese. Damn, now I can't even remember his fucking name. I am a mess. Tim Schafer. He's the
Mm.
Japanese Tim Schafer because it seems like he's another person that doesn't know how to manage projects and money very well.
Damn.
I mean, he's like, I mean, he's not asking for more money for Mighty Number Nine. I mean, there's no way he could, but the project is coming in late, and he's asking for money for something else. And there's been reports of how badly he can manage a budget. Like, yeah, that Kaio King of Pirates project that I was so excited for, lost the publishers. Well, I think it was like 3 to 4 million before it was canceled entirely.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I think that's kind of the sad thing about Kickstarter is it kind of shows who out of these big names is legit and who should quit.
That's a huge shame too, man.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, our next little thing that we have here, Kickstarter related, kind of gets me a lot more excited just because of, that huge untimely death of fucking Silent Hills. I'm not going to let that go. Fuck Konami. Hashtag fuck Konami, folks. Come on, throw it up there.
Sorry, I'm too busy laughing in the chat. I was saying that at least being the Japanese Tim Schafer isn't as bad as being the Japanese Peter Molyneux. Would be worse.
Okay, there has to be a Japanese Peter Molyneux. I want to know who that would be.
It's hard to say because Japanese developers are a little less open about development and promises than Western devs are. Then again, their AAA games aren't nearly as ambitious. Who knows? Anyway, on to the other Kickstarter.
So the other Kickstarter, as I was saying, like the whole situation with Silent Hills, I mentioned a project out there that's supposed to be a bit of a spiritual successor to Silent Hills. I didn't have the name at the time, but I did post it up on our Facebook page. Allison Road, which has a pretty impressive, gameplay sort of trailer, more like a game demo, I'd call it. And it's impressive, dude. Like, folks, check this shit out. More so right now, they're actually going to be putting up their project up on Kickstarter. So hopefully we're going to be seeing that develop a lot more than just inside the one house. In fact, it'd be kind of cool if they could actually expand it. Because for right now, they're still kind of sticking with the PT formula, where you're just inside the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see what their ends up getting funded. Or I'm sure there's plenty of people who want to see what they've got. Either way, do you remember P-Unity?
P-Unity?
I think that was the name of it. There's somebody painstakingly recreated PT in Unity and put it out for free.
Huh. No, I don't think I know about that one.
There wasn't a lot hooked up, but the entire level, the whole hallway thing was recreated painstakingly to be accurate. And you basically, got to walk through that and look at it one more time.
Nice.
What else do we got?
So this is kind of really on the bigger side of the news spectrum when it comes down to like this whole game funding situation, because there's apparently a new just a site out there called Fig that is being developed by one of the members of Double Fine. Hang on, let me see if I can find his name real quick for you guys.
Oh no, it's more than being developed. It's pretty much being their board is being headed by the big three of Kickstarter. You got Tim Schafer himself, Obsidian's Fergus Urquhart. I'm pretty sure I messed that up entirely. And In Exile's Brian Fargo.
Is Tim Schafer actually part of this? I could have swore it was another member of Double Fine.
He's part of the Fig's advisory board, which
Mm.
I'll explain in a minute.
Sure.
You see, Fig is a Kickstarter crowdfunding site exclusively to indie games, and their pitch is they only have 2 projects up at a time, and all these projects, they're sent in by people who want their games funded, and they're approved and published on the website by an advisory board. Like I said, the big 3 of Kickstarter kind of funding that. Their plan is kind of simple, really. Is they'll put up one small indie project up in like at the beginning of a week to get crowdfunding and stuff. And then within a week or 2, they'll put up a second project, which they're calling a triple I title. In other words, a big name indie putting something out on a crowdfunding. Basically, to not only get funding for that, but also draw traffic to the site to get the smaller project funded.
Right.
Honestly, I'm not a big fan of the Fig website concept at all. Mostly because of the advisory board.
That's fair.
The part that worries me is it's basically a discretionary basis what gets put on their website. And in other words, if you don't get into the good graces of Tim Schafer and his crew, they're not gonna help you get your game funded. And yeah, I don't know what the advisory board or what the cut Fig gets out of this compared to Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd have to hear a story from somebody who's gone through it or gotten rejected or something.
And that's a fair point you're bringing up. I don't know if I outright completely disagree with you and like in your means of like kind of worrying about it, but I do see like some benefits coming out of it, because it seems like it's strictly going to be meant for the gaming audience or just independent gaming altogether. Which
not entirely.
Well, more so than like say Kickstarter, Indiegogo is.
Again, not like it's going to be specifically for video games, but it's not going to be just for the gamers by the gamers.
Okay, yeah, in that respect, sure.
Because they have now they will open up not only to back for rewards, but also back at higher tiers for investment opportunities. In other words, people coming in and dropping lots of money in exchange for a % of the sales.
In fact, actually, to kind of follow up with that, I think currently the one game that they have up on their site right now only puts a minimum of about $1,000.
A minimum?
Yeah, that's what I was hearing from a YouTube video that was explaining the situation.
Yeah, even for basic backers, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in other words, not only a vehicle for indie devs in the good graces of Schafer and Co. to get games out there, but it's also a vehicle for big names to pick up indie titles on the cheap.
Yeah. And by the way, Shayo, that is true. If that does come into light, hashtag fuck Tim Schafer will become a thing if he's just skimming way too much money off the top.
Yeah, I'll be following it. I want to see what happens to this Outer Lands, which is the first small project they have on their website, to see what happens with that before I lay a final judgment on it.
Fair enough.
Like, it just sits a little uneasy with me as it stands.
Alrighty. So that kind of does it with a lot of our Kickstarter news. Or I guess in that case, since technically Fig's not really Kickstarter, just the crowdfunding news. But one last thing I do want to say, I feel like I'm probably shilling out for a game idea right now. I sort of am, but they're not paying me to do this. Check out Black Wake. I swear to God, folks, that shit looks fucking awesome. If Dag were here right now, he would back me up on that. Black Wake. Check it out. So, moving right along. Now, last week... Was it last week or the week before?
I think it was last week, yeah.
So last week, the amazing announcement of Resident Evil Remastered was announced. Which, yeah, fucking awesome. Still hyped up for that. But here's a bit of bad news that kind of happens because of that. See, there was actually a fan-made Resident Evil 2 remake in the process of being made, which has now officially kind of reached its point where it needs to stop.
Well, yeah, there's no way this project would have gone anywhere anytime soon. I mean, it was, yeah, for those that don't know, there is a project known as Resident Evil 2 Reborn. It was recreating the game in Unreal 4. And, the game was obviously given a cease and desist because it's a huge conflict of interest for a third party to be putting out a remaster of a game you're putting out a remaster for.
Mm-hmm.
But Capcom has been nice and civil about this, and even invited the project team to actually share ideas and concerns for their remaster.
Which is awesome. God, like, just right now I'm just kind of thinking back to when, what was it, Mario 64 was having its, like, Unity...
Oh, the Mario model created in Unreal 4.
Yeah. And I just kind of think back to that, and I go, like, God, Capcom was totally going to, like, bring the hammer down on them. But, no, I think it's really awesome that they're actually reaching out to the people that were working on this project and trying to, come together in terms of ideas and stuff. More game companies need to do this. It's okay, folks. We don't have to throw out the cease and desist every single time.
Then again, these things do happen.
Oh.
And plenty of things don't get shut down. I mean, Project M has existed for years now without Nintendo intervening.
Yeah, but wouldn't it just... Isn't part of the reason it exists is because it's a throwback to Melee? Like, if Nintendo were to actually throw up Super Smash Bros. Melee on the Virtual Console, I think we could see Project M getting pulled.
Not entirely sure. It depends what the scope of their remaster would be.
It wouldn't even be a remaster. It would just be, here it is on the Nintendo Direct store.
I'm trying to think if they have any GameCube games actually on the eShop right now.
Well, no, not yet, but I imagine it'll happen further down the road.
Yeah.
Especially since the Wii U, from my understanding, can't play GameCube games anymore.
No. From what I've heard rumors that you can do so with homebrew technology, but I don't think it does so with base. Then again, I have a GameCube at home and a Wii, so I don't really mind. What else have we got?
So our next story, did you actually watch the Video Game Awards, that event Jeff Keighley held up last year?
No, I watched I watched clips of it after the fact because honestly, fuck Spike TV and their treatment of video games lately.
Okay, so here's the difference. The Video Game Awards isn't the same thing as like the VGX or anything like that, hosted by Spike TV. This was actually Jeff Keighley's own little separate project that he did kind of on his own. I even think with his own money, if I recall the story correctly. I mean, I'm not saying it was still like an amazing performance or anything like that. It still kind of had that, Spike TV kind of taste to it, but it wasn't like in your face, like without Spike TV kind of did it.
Okay, yeah. I remember that. I thought it was attached to the VGAs in some way.
No, it wasn't. It was its own separate thing. And for the most part, it was kind of okay. Like, I still called bullshit on some of the games that won the title. Like, apparently, if I remember right, Hearthstone won Best Mobile Game.
I can believe that on a purely popularity standpoint, because honestly, a lot of people play Hearthstone on their phones. I've seen it happen.
Yeah. Still, that's fucking stupid as hell, especially since it's like it's not even like a handheld mobile game. Like, it's a fucking phone app. Sorry, you all know my feeling when it comes down to phone app games.
Well, I'm sure Fallout Shelter will take Best Handheld Game this year.
Oh, I'm sure it will. Which would be a little depressing, especially since we have like other, like 3DS, maybe even like a PS Vita title out there.
True.
The one PS V title that could meet the requirements.
True, though to be honest, this year I can't really think of that many standout 3DS titles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've bought anything recently.
But anyway, the reason why I'm kind of bringing this up is that Jeff Keighley is actually looking to bring it back. What was it, around December?
Yeah, it's
So
usually when you want to do award shows.
so here's my 2 cents. I'm not gonna hold my highest. I'm not gonna hold much breath in the whole situation because I don't know. Jeff Keighley's got this weird kind of aura about him, don't you think?
I don't know. I kind of like. I mean, he's in terms of games journalists and hosts. He's probably one of the ones that's been the most impartial in my eyes. I mean, he's a huge supporter of Nintendo in a industry that kind of pushes them to the wayside. I mean, he's he's on real good terms with Reggie Fils-Aimé, and he's always like. I remember that in his Game Awards last year, they got some looks at the new Legend of Zelda game, and I had to look at the new Donkey Kong Country when that was out, or that was coming out. Yeah, I believe one of his shows they actually was the time they actually revealed that Cranky Kong would be playable. So, like, honestly, when it comes to personalities, he's the guy I go to the most.
Sure.
Adam Sessler, on the other hand, well, let's not get into that.
Fucking fallen from grace, dude.
I think after so long, he's just stopped giving a shit.
I won't go into the alleged rumors because.
Yeah, let's not open that can of
Yeah.
worms.
But yeah, just to kind of get back on Jeff Keighley, there's always been something about him that just never sat too well with me. Like, it's awesome that he's always been like a. From what you said, especially, like, I didn't even know he was actually a real supporter of Nintendo. Like, I always just kind of know him as the Dorito Pope. That's how I know him as, to be honest.
He's kind of risen from the ashes of that in my eyes. I mean, yeah, going back to the Spike TV thing, he was the one that made me watch their coverage of E3, which, again, fuck them for that, because they've been airing less and less of that on live television each and every year. I think this year they had maybe the Microsoft conference before they did a couple hours. I don't even think they did the live coverage after that. They did the conference, then went back to regular TV, then did an hour or two of games coverage.
Right.
It's like, they're really not that much people. I mean, I understand a lot of people use streaming to get news content and stuff, but it was just cool having that going on TV. I could, turn on the TV and watch them to cover all the E3 games that I'd never get to see gameplay for otherwise, because I'm not going to actively sit on a GameSpot or IGN 24-hour live stream event.
Could just done the YouTube live stream event.
Well, again, at the same time, I'm not going to sit there streaming in the background when I could be playing something.
I guess. You lazy bastard. Get a better computer so you can do it.
That's what I have TV for, so I can watch something without sapping my bandwidth.
Oh, man. Alrighty. So yeah. I don't know. I hope to God it does better this year. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, it beats the VGAs and the
I
VGAs.
thought he's even still going on.
Probably. I mean, if they're still doing the Hall or the Guy Awards or whatever, I'm sure they'll keep doing the VGAs.
Yeah, Shayo kind of says it best. Like, Spike TV claims to be like a TV for men when really it's just for fucking college students. Not even college students, like fraternities,
Then again, when stuff in the media advertises it being for men, that's the target audience they're going for.
I guess that's true. Anyway, alright, so we kind of talked that to death for a bit. Let's move right along, since we kind of brought up the whole Xbox conference. I guess it's more of an Ubisoft kind of thing. Well, in any case, Rainbow Six, unfortunately, is finding itself in a situation where it's going to be delayed up until December. But then again, that could be kind of a good thing.
Yeah, it's more of Ubisoft's New Year's strategy. gonna give times. They're gonna give the games time if they need it, rather than trying to push something out for the holiday season and end up with a pile of crap like Unity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they really, really don't want another Assassin's Creed Unity situation.
Hey, I'm glad they learned from it, dude. Like, that's all I gotta say right there. Like, it was the fucking biggest mess they could have also.
Yep.
Ugh. Like,
I mean,
I'm suppressing anger right now. I can't form sentences or words.
yep, aside from it being the year of early access and next-gen remasters, it's also been the year of developers sitting down and saying, we're going to give this game time if it needs it. Which, is a respectable change. I'm sure, the community and the industry as a whole is just fed up with pushing out unfinished games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unless again you're an early access title, which your whole strategy is to publish an unfinished game and get money to finish it. Well, if you want to finish it.
Yeah, you gotta throw that one in there. So anyway, getting right into our next little topic right here is that the whole backwards compatibility for Xbox might actually reach the original Xbox.
Yep, it was. Yeah, someone asked Phil Spencer about it on Twitter regarding the Xbox One's plans for backwards compatibility via emulation. He said it's not silly; it's in the possibilities to do backwards compatibility of Xbox games via emulation. They're not currently working on that because they want to get full 360 backwards compatibility done, but they're going to look into it.
Mm-hmm.
Which honestly would be pretty cool because I mean, when the Xbox 360 came out, wasn't it limited limited backwards compatibility on Xbox games? From what I remember, not every Xbox game was backwards compatible on the 360.
Yeah, that was kind of the whole thing with the Xbox 360, which was part of the turnoff for me when it was originally announced.
Yeah, if they could get out full backwards compatibility for 360 and the original Xbox, I think I would really expand the Xbox One library in a way that would garner some more fans and get people to buy it over the PS4, which currently has how much backwards compatibility?
Currently,
yeah.
None.
Exactly. That would be the big decision point for the holiday season. Backwards compatibility, no backwards compatibility.
No, in all fairness though, this is always a thing that kind of got to me when we start talking about the original Xbox. Were there even really that many games for it? I know there are some, hidden gems here and there, and that was the reason why there was such limited backwards capability with the Xbox 360, was because they reserved it strictly to like the hits. And for the longest time, like the original Xbox, and this was my gripe against it, was that it relied very heavily on the third-party support, which, me being a PlayStation 2 owner at the time, I saw no reason to have an Xbox because I could just play that game on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, there's some good ports. There's some pretty good exclusives. Oh, yeah, a lot of cult classics that never made it back. Like the original Phantom Dust, which, we heard a sequel to at E3 this year, only to rumors that it's been canceled. There's Fusion Frenzy, which is kind of hit or miss. Like, I thought the original was pretty good. I think there was a Jet Set Radio game developed for Xbox.
There might have been.
There's of course the really cult platformer Blinks the Time Sweeper. I've actually played that before, and it was kind of fun in terms of the.
My only exposure to that game was like at a fucking Circuit City when those were still around. And I only ever just played the fucking demo of Blinks the Time Cat. Oh, man.
Yeah, so there's a few things that people would want to play on the original Xbox. I mean, not as much as there was on the PS1 or PS2, but there's still an audience.
Yeah, alright, that's fair.
But
moving.
going from expanding features to a lack of features.
Yeah, you got to fill me in on this one because this kind of left me a little on the confused side. So, yeah, go ahead, take it.
Like, it might be a little shaky of a source. I mean, I didn't see his credentials or not, but according to a user on GitHub who identified himself as a employee at Valve, apparently the SteamOS and Steam machines won't have the system suspend feature that a current gen Xbox One and PS4 have.
So that's the part that's kind of confusing me because, well, I don't have this current, this generation. God, we keep saying next gen, but eventually it turns into this gen.
Yeah, it's current gen now.
Yeah. So I don't have any of the current gen. So explain to me what this suspend and resume feature is. It's supposed to be like putting the game to sleep or something like that?
Well, in certain terms, you can. The main feature they're talking about is the system suspend, in which you could not power off the system entirely, but put it into a low power state, so that you can jump back you jump back into the game super quick when you want to get back to it. Basically, like the sleep mode on a 3DS. It's like, I think it also factors in suspending a game momentarily to use another app on your system, like the community boards or a web browser. But apparently the SteamOS won't have this capability due to some kind of complication with Linux. Basically, it won't stack the current way, and they have problems. They have problems including controllers completely being unregistered in a system suspend state. Like, you'll lose access to your controls and things will crash because of the Linux architecture.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I haven't looked at the GitHub source to see if those guys prove that he's from Valve, but that's what we've got out of this. That don't expect to have a system suspend option if you're planning to buy a Steam machine. Like, I'm sure some people will live without it, but it's apparently a staple nowadays.
Yeah. So, moving right along. I'm trying to remember if we actually talked about this previously on the show.
Remember we talked about some kind of legal debacle involving Gearbox and the Duke Nukem
Oh,
thing.
yeah, that's right. So we did actually bring up previously about a legal case going on between Gearbox and 3D Realms over the Duke Nukem rights. Well, apparently that has actually been settled now, since Duke Nukem is going to be making its way back to Gearbox.
So yeah, it was it Gearbox that bought the rights to Duke Nukem Forever, or was 3D? Yeah, 3D Realms was the original.
Yeah, 3D Realms originally held it.
So, that Gearbox has Duke Nukem. I'm not making the pun. They have Duke Nukem currently. I don't know how long that contract's gonna hold. Which, kind of sad, especially if 3D Realms wanted to actually develop anything new for Duke Nukem, because at this point he kind of needs a revival after the shitfest that was Forever.
I'm still one of the weird guys out there that had some actual enjoyment from Duke Nukem Forever. But then again, it really was pandering to like the 90s audience.
Yep. I'm honestly waiting to see the same thing happen with Half-Life 3, and that spent too much time in development and it doesn't live up to expectations. I'm not saying it will be as bad. I'm saying it won't live up to the hype because they've spent so long on it.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe after 9 years in development, it'll be worth the wait.
Worth the wait. Oh, man. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and move on from there. I mean, there's not much else to really say. And especially since, like, as you pointed out, like, Duke Nukem really could use some kind of a fresh start.
Honestly, barely cared about Duke Nukem when the 3D games on the PS1 came out.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, they were interesting, but I never found the character super compelling.
I don't think you really were supposed to, like, enjoy Duke Nukem as a character. I think it was just more like
I
just
mean, like
the
the
world.
one-liners were kind of there, but it's like when it came to console shooters back then, I was more engrossed with Turok.
Yeah, all
I
right.
just liked me the crazy weapons.
Yeah, all right. I guess I'll give you that. Alrighty. Oh, Shayo's just laying out some knowledge right there, or possibly her opinion on why she thinks Duke Nukem failed. Let's see. Actually, the reason why Duke Nukem Forever failed is because it was in development for over 10 years, and what came out of it was a game that any other first-person studio or first-person shooter studio could shit out less than a year or two. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and from what from what I remember, I think the development also changed hands a lot, and they were, iterating on something that was out of date well before they were getting ready to publish it.
Mm-hmm.
It will go down in history as one of the biggest gaming flops.
I still have a nice chuckle knowing that a guy who held on to his original pre-order receipt was still able to get a copy of it. Oh, man. Anyway, so let's go ahead and start getting into... I'm not sure if I really want to classify this as outright news. Like, I kind of find this more like trivia. But it's still interesting trivia to kind of learn about, especially with like how Japan handles the game industry. So here's what initially first started to kind of shock me a little bit is that apparently Japan sort of does care about Call of Duty.
Well, enough to get it out there for Activision to make more money. I don't know the sales numbers on it, but it's I guess they localize it.
Yeah, apparently through Square Enix too, of all companies, which they have an interesting way of doing things because they apparently released two versions, one dubbed and one subbed.
Yeah, and this new deal in which Sony Computer Entertainment of Japan is now publishing the Call of Duty series in Japan. They're going to put out a version that includes both options, actually fully translate and localize the game.
That makes me wonder why wasn't that a thing to begin with?
Square Enix is weird.
Sure, but that honestly doesn't really seem like a valid reason for their method of releasing. I mean, what is it? Just like the mindset of if it works for anime, it'll work for gaming.
I don't know. It sounds like a case where, again, it's the Westaboo syndrome, aka reverse weeaboo. Some purists want the subtitles only version. Some people want to be able to hear native dialogue without having to read subtitles all day.
Oh my god, you made me wish for something to actually exist right now. Like, I'm sure there are some there's a very, very small minority of people in Japan that are like that. But I need to see it. Like, I want to believe.
You want to see a greasy Japanese kid complaining people don't play Call of Duty with the original English dialogue?
Yes. I really do. That would be funny to me.
I'm sure there's somebody on 2 channel that does that.
Oh, God. It's still kind of it still is kind of amusing too that Japan for the longest time only really had like Call of Duty released for PlayStation. I mean that's not the case anymore from what this article is saying that Microsoft is going to be releasing their own versions of Call of Duty on the Xbox One for Japan.
Yeah, I mean it'd lose a lot of money.
But I'm sure it's another one of those play it on PlayStation first.
Yeah, probably. I mean. It's what they're pushing here. I'm sure they're pushing it there as well.
Oh, God, like I hope that stops being a thing.
Like I don't know about Sony, but Microsoft has they're going to be more committed to their first party titles, so at least they can do that instead of competing for who gets what game first.
That's what Sony should be doing as well. Like, what the fuck, Sony? Start working on your first party titles, dude. That's what brings in the draw.
Yeah.
What more can I say? Fucking hell. Like I said, I hope to God that shit stops. So let's see. One more little thing on Japanese culture, I suppose. Yeah, probably Japanese culture, since it's more on the whole Plinko machine situation. Again, hashtag Konami or fuck Konami. So apparently there's actually another game studio out there that is interested in trying to turn its gamers into gamblers, which, surprise, surprise, is SNK. Like, I guess I should have known about this because, what was it? I'm trying to remember. They're King of Fighters, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember listening to another podcast where they were talking about the whole Plinko thing with Castlevania and Silent Hill, that another studio did it as well, and it had to do with a game in the fighting game community, and I believe it was King of Fighters. So, hey, SNK apparently is jumping on board with the whole idea of trying to, focus more on these Plinko machines than they do on their own video games. Although, to be fair, I guess it's kind of okay. Like, okay, hear me out here, because I think SNK might have a better way, might do better getting away with it, because aren't they for the most part just an arcade cabinet?
They're famous for a lot of arcade titles. They've honestly, the only things they've published really lately is King of Fighters and Metal Slug.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, they haven't been doing anything big with their IPs for a while. Like, I don't know what else they're going to do. I mean, their plan is pretty much the plan that all these Japanese developers are going into in terms of creating gambling machines. That, the market in Japan is kind of turning away from console games, and they want to capture that audience and get them playing their casino machines by developing things that appeal to younger audiences. And
kind of surprised that's perfectly okay. I mean, shit, I don't even think most of our slot machines are really meant to appeal to a younger audience these days.
I'm not saying young. I'm saying like the 18 to 24 demographic.
I wouldn't count that as young.
I would in terms of gamblers.
Yeah, alright, fine.
I mean, most gamblers are older, middle-aged people. Ones who have the free time and the free money to do so.
Yeah. So, yeah, I gotta agree with Shayo. Like, I'm really hoping this doesn't become a thing with Japanese game studios where they just jump ship on video games altogether and just focus on the gambling market.
Well, it seems kind of split. I mean, half of them want to go for gambling, half of them want to go to the mobile market.
Oh, God. Pick your poison, I guess.
Yeah. Honestly, there's a lot of factors in that. I mean, the first being that a lot of the Japanese consumer base isn't playing on consoles as much as they used to. That they're playing more stuff on their phones and on computers. And then again, most of the stuff that gets put out for computers is only visual novel games. It's like, I'm sure there's an upturn, I'm sure there's a market there still, but according to all their decisions, the market's in a decline. Yeah, the second big part of that is, like, let's be honest, Japanese games I don't think many of them have the AAA sticker of quality in terms of having the multi-million-dollar budgets and the giant advertising and all that. I think Japanese developers on average tend to spend a lot less developing games than Western developers do. And honestly, I'm sure most of them don't want to spend that much money developing a game. It's just a big difference in markets. I'm sure either way, I know there will always be Japanese developers putting out games. It's just sad to see that some of the big names that we grew up with, Sega, Capcom, Konami, SNK, have started drifting away from their home base. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm just checking out Shayo right now in the chat room. Let's see. This is her quote, or what she has to say. Well, here's the idiocy of it. Let's just look at Konami, in parentheses, hashtag fuck Konami. Right on, girl. Uh, what if the Plinko thing doesn't work out? What if they have to come crawling back to the video game scene? People are going to remember what they did, and they are going to have a hell of a time winning back the consumers and their customers' trust, basically. Yeah? Yeah, I'd say so.
Well, it's not. There's no if about it. Sadly, Konami is raking in the profits on their casino machines. Gambling is a huge business for them.
That is why it's usually like controlled by syndicates, man.
Yeah, it might be that their old video game IPs aren't going to pull people in. In that case, they're just going to stop producing pachinko machines based on video games. I'm wondering what they're going to do at this point, because I saw a survey this week in what Konami's putting out a survey to see what people think of their older, less touched IPs and what people want from them. So, a lot of memorable names out there, from Suikoden to surprisingly Sunset Riders. They haven't forgotten about that. I know that you got Contra, Bomberman,
God,
all
River
the
would
other
fucking
non-Castlevania, non-Metal Gear Solid staples.
River might honestly love to hear that, dude. He loves Sunset Riders.
Yeah. If you can find the survey out there, take it and tell Konami that you want video games, not arcade machines.
That's true, actually.
Gambling.
That's something, and I didn't put it on the docket, but that is actually a thing going on right now, where Konami is kind of opening itself up to have people take a survey. I think what I'll actually go ahead and do is I'll find that for you guys and post it up on our Facebook page. So, assuming you guys haven't heard about this, you too can send your opinions to Konami. I know Shayo is just... She's got a fucking, essay, paragraph she probably set up, just waiting for this moment.
Yeah, it's not just about voicing your opinion. You get entered into a drawing for, I believe it's... One of the prizes is a $200 Amazon gift card, or... Was it credit for something? I know it's a $200 credit to buy stuff online. Let me actually find that right now.
While you're going ahead and looking for that, why don't I go ahead and take the time and opportunity to open up the Skype lines out there for people that, for whatever reason, probably want to, throw in your 2 cents on any of the topics that we've managed to discuss. You can go ahead and call us by reaching out to our Skype account at GoodGameGuys1. Just remember to send a request and let me know what you want to say before I put you on the air, so that way I know, one, I know you're an actual person, and two, just to kind of get to the point a little bit, Did you manage to find the thing yet?
I found the link. I'm trying to find the thing about what you can win. But yeah, let me link the survey in the chat. Oh yeah, it is. It's an Amazon voucher worth up to $200.
Oh, okay.
So there's the link for anyone who wants it.
Alrighty. And while we're giving the people a moment to consider calling in, why don't we go ahead and go over to our final little story right here, which is kind of funny and depressing at the same time. So, remember when Bethesda was saying that they probably weren't going to restock the whole Pip-Boy edition? Well, they managed to at least put it back up for sale, but wouldn't you be surprised it sold out again? Oh, God.
I think it's a big demand title. Like, some people are speculating that this game will be more successful for Bethesda than Skyrim was, and we all know that sold gangbusters.
Oh God, yeah, it did.
It's like people are big in on it. I think I'm not going to beat around the bush on this. A lot of people got into the Fallout franchise with Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas,
Yeah.
people got their taste and they want more. They're gonna want to see more and more. Like, I think with each game they put out, they attract more and more of an audience, and their games are gonna get bigger and bigger.
That's a fair observation.
I mean, I'm sure the limited edition for the Elder Scrolls 6 will sell out even faster than Fallout 4 did.
Now, okay, since we're gonna find ourselves in this interesting little in-house competition between the Elder Scrolls series and Fallout, do you think maybe the next Elder Scrolls series will be able to even surpass Fallout 4 in its sales?
Possibly, but I'm sure it will surpass Skyrim in the same way, especially if they deliver in the same way that people were enamored with that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it'll be another case, like it is with every Elder Scrolls game, or it is with Fallout 4, that the so-called purist will complain about the changes made, but the general audience will just be in love with the atmosphere and the gameplay and the fantasy worlds. It's a huge hit for them. I mean,
and hopefully they play the game in the original dubbed. Sorry, I can't let that. God, that's gonna stick with me for a while. Just the concept of fucking like Asian cultures, just like reverse weeaboo.
What kind of plebeian would play Elder Scrolls 6 without the authentic Argonian dialogue?
I bet that guy doesn't even like make Gundam models. He actually buys Warhammer figurines. Like he pays the extra money too, just for the authenticity of it. Fucking hell.
Yeah, instead of buying $100 anime figurines, the Westaboos buy Forge World models.
Oh god. Oh fucking hell.
Surprised you've never run into that before.
I really haven't. Okay. Well, not really getting any calls, but we're at least getting a little activity in the chat room. Well, we can go ahead and address that real quick. Let's see. Mr. Dysfunctional. I'm not a fan of the Bioshock-esque dialogue choice system. The option you can choose is never what the character says. A la Dragon Age and Mass Effect. Yeah, no.
I've said it before, but yeah, a lot of people have a lot of pushback with the dialogue wheel of Fallout 4. Some of it seems to be because of the way they've reworked the special system and the way skills work, which means there's less skill-based options. But at the same time, the dialogue wheel is kind of a compromise you have to make when you're developing a role-playing game with voice dialogue.
Pretty much.
Like, you're not gonna be able to fit the full quote for quote option onto a wheel like that. And sadly, they're like, sure, a lot of games could do better to give you a more explicit idea of what your character will say, but yeah, you're not gonna be able to fit that, because the alternative for a dialogue wheel is your characters just speak all the time in small sentences, and who wants to do that?
So here's kind of the thing I got with the whole dialogue wheel thing. And surprise, I'm in the middle of it all. On the one hand, I do kind of appreciate it because it at least add the extra context to a lot of what is going to be said. Now, again, yeah, it in no way, shape, or form is ever going to be the same thing that the character actually says, but at least I can understand the context of what's about to be said a lot better than I would say the additional sort of a chat log, I guess you can say.
Yep. The criticisms end up the opposite. I mean, honestly, I've experienced this too with Mass Effect specifically. they'll give you the dialogue options in an abridged version, and sometimes what's actually said and the way it's stated is not what you think is going to be said and how it's going to be said.
Uh-huh.
It's like, I forget what the dialogue was, but I was kind of shocked to find out that my character was a lot more angry and aggressive about what they said than I thought was going to happen.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, the whole voice dialogue wheel combo is, yeah, it's a real bummer for people who are into role-playing aspects of the game, where they make the choices and decide what they say. It kind of ruins the suspension of disbelief and hampers that experience.
Yeah,
So,
but even then, like, isn't the... If you really want to get, like, that invested into a role, isn't it just kind of easier to actually go straight up, tabletop at that point, because you can actually be far more invested into that than you could be in an actual roleplay video game? I mean, I just mostly say that because I always kind of just compare, like, video game RPGs to, like, tabletop RPGs. And in video game RPGs, while you can still do things, you are fairly limited to what you can do. Where in tabletop RPGs, sky's the limit. You can do whatever the fuck you want as long as you roll the dice are in your favor.
well, that's the problem, is a lot of players don't want that split. They want to be able to have that kind of choose your own adventure experience on a video game platform. And yeah, while some games deliver that, like Shadowrun and Baldur's Gate, mostly AAA role-playing games as of late kind of pushed away from that in favor of putting out this character is doing this thing on his quest, and it's making a lot harder to put yourself into their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's room in the market for both kinds of experiences. I mean, I honestly kind of hope that the Elder Scrolls doesn't take the same route, because it's always been a much bigger choose-your-own-adventure kind of thing. Most games, hell, especially Morrowind, which I enjoy even though I've played so little of it. Your experience is you get off a boat, you learn how to control your character, and you're given a class, and that's it. No more direction needed. You can follow whatever route you choose from there. It's like,
See that mountain over there? You can go there.
well, in Morrowind you could. It just takes a lot of time. Like, there are some opponents of fast travel, but with Elder Scrolls, dear God, dude, you want fast travel sometimes. I mean, even when playing Oblivion, I tried to avoid fast travel sometimes, but I always got so sidetracked because I was like, hey, look, this cave, or hey, look, this shrine.
Yeah, you have to fast travel if you want to stay on point.
Yeah, like, things are fun to explore, but I always forget what I want to do in those games.
That's why I always wonder why there isn't ever a sense of urgency when it comes to some of the quests they put into it.
Which
like,
I think is another option. I doubt it will happen with Fallout 4, but that's an open idea to Bethesda. Embrace the choice and make both options available. Possibly. Yeah. Like, if you want to invest in speechcraft and other things in Elder Scrolls 6, let you be able to choose your own dialogue and have no voice option. Or if you just want to see how a character's experience falls out, let them have a more directed story with a voiced character and a dialogue wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
alrighty, I think with that, we're going to go ahead and start winding stuff down. We've definitely kind of been on for about an hour now, I think.
Yeah, we've made plenty of good time.
Yeah, we even managed to kind of go off a little bit on a pretty fun tangent. I know some people out there seem to not really like that, but what's wrong with you? Don't you like discussion?
It's too bad for them. They didn't call in.
Yeah, seriously. You guys could have called in. Could have yelled at us and said, get back to the fucking topics at hand.
It's like, I'll wait somebody to yell at me. Like, I'll do it.
We'll encourage it. Go ahead.
It's like, I'll punch a bee. I don't give a fuck.
Alrighty then. So with that said, you can go ahead and follow us at our usual spots at Facebook, Twitter, even our YouTube channel, which for our Facebook and our YouTube, you can locate it at Good Game Guys Show, where we do upload videos here and there, as well as the past episodes of the live stream, provided there wasn't any technical problems in uploading it. Thanks, Twitch. Not the first, and certainly won't be the last, that's for sure. But yeah, also head over to our Facebook page, where we do also kind of let you catch up some of the other stories that we don't necessarily get to on the show, or with our personal opinion, just don't think it's really that big enough to kind of get into. Also follow us on our Twitter page at Good Game Guys 1, mostly just so you know when we decide to start doing streaming. There will be an automatic notification. Because emails apparently don't seem to work anymore these days.
Well, don't we have that set up to post every time we...
Oh, we do.
I mean, followers should know. I mean, I guess most of them just miss out.
Yeah, that's true. That's why you can head over to the YouTube page.
I mean, to be honest, I follow I follow a hand's number of people on Twitch, and I tend to miss their streams, mostly due to timing.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so yeah, be sure to hit the follow button over there. And again, if you guys ever want to actually call in on our show, you can reach us at our Skype account at GoodGameGuys1. Just remember to send a friend request, and, again, let me know you're an actual person, because there are those, spam botters out there. So, with that said, this is Dr. Captain.
Yeah, I'm the NPC.
And speaking on behalf of the Loud Kid and Deg, this is everyone here at the Good Game Guys saying, good game, everyone!
GG! GG! GG!